So for the second demo, I felt that it was definitely much more specific in showing all the tools that the students could use. You had all the tools out ready to go before the lesson started, and you had the students come close so they could see what you were doing. And you chose a different object than the original object, which I think was good that they got to see two different objects being made. And it was very interesting watching you work with the original object and how you would approach that. And you showed them step by step how you would show each detail of that object. And then you actually had the object next to the object that you were creating, and you kept comparing the two and telling them what you would do next to make it look more like the original object. So I felt that this was way more helpful for the students than the introduction for the first lesson, mostly because our students, although they're in ceramics too, had two different teachers last year. One teacher was way more specific with detail and with craftsmanship and making sure that things were smoothed out and finished and refined. The second teacher was more exploratory and allowed the students to choose more freely, and the grading was not as strict. The creativity level was higher, but the end result wasn't necessarily as refined. So we have two groups of students coming together in one class with a different skill set. So I think that because you slowed down the lesson, you were able to reach them. Some of them were reviewing, and some of them were hearing things for the first time. Because, as ceramics too, sometimes you would assume that they know things from a previous class, but if it's a different teacher, you almost can't assume that they know. And you find that out quickly when you start teaching them. I think that another thing that you did was you noticed that the students weren't reliable in bringing in the objects, and you took the time to go out and buy additional objects for them to pick from, and you had quite a selection. So therefore there were multiple students that never did bring in their object, and luckily you had prepared for that and brought in those objects. So that was also a successful part of this lesson.